Welcome to Art Scene, and we are on the verge, the precipice, the edge, what are some other words, of something the bluff. Oh my gosh, you're so good. This is why this is the CEO of BVO. G. Von Knight is with us, and she is the CEO of Baron von Opperbein. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
River of Time.
Yes.
Well, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
You've never been on before.
I have not.
BVO is in the old Mud Island Museum. When are we going to stop saying that?
I mean, it's part of the legacy of what we're building and how we're building around it. So we're not afraid of it being in the old River Museum because that's why it's the River of Time.
I mean, Memphis is such a community of tradition and inventing new things, and that's kind of what y'all are doing here.
Yes, and the legacy of the building is tied into the legacy of the island and the history and downtown, and so that's why it's part of the Baron's adventures on the River of Time, because it was the old River Museum and we're sitting here on the Mississippi River.
The River of Time, I really loved that connection. So what is BVO?
Okay, it's a great question. It is the first ever in the Mid-South immersive playground that's being built within a cinematic universe. So when you think about immersive, you have escape rooms, which are games that are basically in a world, but they don't have a whole cinematic universe. They don't have characters and organizations and families and the entire world around it. It's just basically a story. If you think about Meow Wolf, that is basically your ability to interact in a huge world gallery, a three-dimensional art gallery. So you have artists that are putting their works on display and you get to interact with it versus it just being on a wall. You have theme parks, you're talking about a branded experience that is a single brand. It is often out of a cinematic universe, but their experience of you in that park is very singular. They want everybody to experience the exact same ride in the exact same way, and the exact same type of joy and wonder. You've got amusement parks, which is about adrenaline and thrill seeking. And you have playgrounds, which children are used to. The City Museum has an amazing, 5-story immersive playground. So you take the City Museum and you add in puzzle escape room elements, you add in digital and AI content creation, and then you stick it inside a cinematic universe that already has worlds and people and organizations and companies and vehicles and places to explore.
And it's not just a theater where you're sitting there passively, right? The kids are running around, or
absolutely. You're running around. It's all about play and discovery, which is an active state of mind instead of passive consumption of creative. Because even I don't know if you went to the Stranger Things finale. The Stranger Things finale was in theaters. And that is about as active as you get. You had people screaming at the screen, you had people jumping up and down, same with the Minecraft movie, but it is still a passive consumption of creative. Somebody created this work of art, you're going there to experience it, you're passively consuming it, and then you get to have takeaways.
In the way that everybody else is too.
Yes. Why can children go to the same park that never changes week after week after week? And
because that's all there was.
True. But what do they do there? They come up with new stories. They come up with new ways to interact. They create that play and discovery on top of it. So when you put yourself in that place, play is always different. You're not waiting for the reactive. You're actually going there to explore yourself. So we want to engage you physically, play. We want you crawling. We want you climbing. We want you, maybe aching a little bit at your middle-aged knees, because that's what happened to me when I was at the City Museum. We want you playing on a brain teaser level. We want you figuring things out. We want you expecting the unexpected. And we want you playing creatively. We want you to explore the depths of the content.
Am I correct in thinking that maybe any current events that a child or an adult, anybody in age, hears about like the last week could also inform how they react in here, since they're basically making up stories on their own.
Yeah, so that's like, people always ask, like, who is it for? And when we say it's all ages, you could come one day and you may say, I just want to look at the detail of the paints and the finishes. And you could walk through and just look at the fabrication.
Which is very cool.
Yeah, you could come one day and be like, I'm gonna engage every single piece of content. I'm gonna read every label. I'm gonna watch every screen. I'm gonna look for kind of hidden content everywhere. You could come one day and say, you know what? I'm not gonna do any of those things. I'm just gonna figure out every hole I can climb in that I didn't climb through before and find it. You could come one day and say, I wanna walk through it backwards. I went through it this way, but we're not gonna stop you. I actually wanna walk through it in a different direction. You could bring 10 people here together, a family, and they all experience it in a different way, but they still have this same shared, joyful experience of wonder.
Did you understand this before you came here? Or is it a learning experience? Some people are smarter than other people. I just want you to know that.
Oh, I have a disadvantage because before I moved to Memphis, I lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I used to work for Meow Wolf.
Well, it snows there.
It does snow there. It snows occasionally here too now.
No.
But Meow Wolf is an immersive art exhibit. They took the world by storm and the country by storm. I had the opportunity to be the director of marketing strategy there.
Oh, my niece went there.
Yes. So I got to watch. That was at the time when they only had the Santa Fe location. They were building Las Vegas and Denver. Houston and Grapevine were just, kind of sketches on a piece of paper. And so watching people interact in that space, watching people let go of their reality at the door and come through, and different types of wonder. The children looked one way, the adults looked others. You could see it on their faces. For the longest time, I knew I was probably the only person in the entire city of Memphis that used to work for that company, because the industry just isn't here in that size. So I had a bit of a disadvantage, or advantage, as you could say, coming into it.
Why did you come here? And we appreciate it, because I love my Memphis, but why did you come here?
We came here for Memphis. So unlike, I would argue, most people come here for a job, or they come here for life circumstances, or something else is dictating their choice, we actually put Memphis on a list of cities that my family, we had a short list of cities of places that we would love to move to after we left New Mexico, and Memphis went on the list in 2018 after Denver. So we picked the city before we were working here or had a different type of opportunity.
You are my new favorite person in the entire world. So back to BVO.
Yes.
When people come here, how much of a learning curve is it? I mean, because people know amusement parks, older people especially know the amusement parks, and then Star Trek had the room that you could go in and do this kind of thing. Are children just growing up with this now? Are they going to know what to do here, or how do you even know you want to come here?
So, well, a bunch of people will come just to check it off the list so that they can say whether they liked it or not. And I want every naysayer to come through the door. If you're a naysayer,
good.
Come at least once. Come at least once so that you can decide where on the fence you are. Because Meow Wolf was very polarizing as well. Some people loved it and some people didn't love it. But come and give us the opportunity. But the biggest learning curve for most groups is letting go. Because when you walk through the door, your brain wants to understand which type of entertainment am I experiencing. So if you're a video game player, you're like, okay, where's the game? Where's the things I'm checking off? How do I win? And it's not quite that. It has video game elements, but we're not slotting you into a straight up video game experience. If you're an art enthusiast, you'll probably be okay, because you'll come in and you'll just be enamored by what you're looking at visually. If you're somebody who does more like theme parks and those types of experiences, you may walk in and it takes a minute to unlearn. Where's my guide? Where's my map? What are the things I'm supposed to do? And it takes a little bit of coaxing to say, your job is only to explore in the space. You don't have a checklist of things to do or things to find. We're not forcing you to go in this direction or that direction. And that can be unsettling for people. They want the tour guide version of it. So once you get people
They want what they're used to.
Yeah, once you get people to let go just a little bit, and once somebody realizes that door is not actually a door, or that box is actually a door, then they start to just let reality go by the wayside and just be present in the space.
In interviews I've done here in the past, I've always asked, how did this come to Memphis? Because I love Memphis, and so many things that changed the world today came from Memphis, but I was still surprised that we were able to attract this. Were you surprised when you moved here?
So I came out of the immersive industry, and there was a lot of hype. And there was a lot of hype of how successful Meow Wolf was very quickly. I knew that this market wasn't already here in this space. There was Graceland, and there was tourism, and there were escape rooms, and there was the zoo and the children's museum. And you're gonna sit down with him. As I've gotten to know Christopher Reyes and his journey, he has actually been tracking against this industry before it even was an industry. And we're talking about this industry is only 15 years old. Theme parks are as old as time, but the immersive version of it is only 15 years old. He was doing light projections and interactive exhibits before 15 years ago. So that's the person who has literally steadfast been standing in the middle of Memphis saying, this city needs this city needs this. But I think for the last 15 years, there weren't enough industry players around him to be like, oh yeah, no, here's how. And it's not crazy. Here's how it's been done in this city, this city, this city, this city, this city.
Because it does sound crazy, but you're right. There wasn't enough saturation. Mm-hmm. So what does the future hold for BVO?
That's a big question. Like the future here, the future for global domination.
We'll take over soon, you know. No, here, what? Because it changes every day with every person. How do you keep up with that? What do you do after y'all are open?
We're going to open a little over 8,000 square feet. So we're standing in what's going to be the retail exit area right here.
Oh, we have to talk merch, yeah.
Yeah, entrance is going to be, in that direction. Kind of concessions and vending is going to be in that direction. We're going to open with an 8,000 square foot footprint. And then the team that's building is immediately going to move to phase 2 so that we can open another 8,000 to 10,000 square feet by the end of the year. And then we do have a significant capital raise to open phase 3. Phase 3 is a 3-story riverboat inside a 5-story room. It's going to take a lot more of a lift. And we want to get that open ideally the end of 27 or early 28.
It is fascinating that you were able to get the money for this and that you were able to do it. And if you've seen anything in the past, this is a lot of found objects that have been repurposed, mm-hmm. which I think it's fascinating. I mean, it's worth a trip just to see that. Mm-hmm. For opening day, do people need to make reservations? Do they need to just come with me as the first person in line?
So you go to the BVO website and you pick the time and you buy those tickets right now.
And let me tell you, there's lots of parking down here because they've totally repaved the whole thing. I mean, there's a lot of work that's been going on.
They've expanded the
here.
Parking lot. It's amazing how many Memphians don't know that there's a bridge that comes over to Mud Island.
But how do they think they get here?
They think they get here on the monorail, or you have to go in the north end.
Someone did ask me yesterday if the monorail was still running. Yeah. And I was like, no, I think it'll take the bridge.
We have plenty of parking here on the island. If we're gangbusters and that lot is full, you can park on the lots that are on Front Street and walk across the pedestrian bridge to the entrance.
We're going to talk with Christopher next about all the inner workings of this and everything. But real quick, merch.
Yes.
T-shirts. I have a BVO T-shirt, by the way.
Yeah.
But
apparel, paper goods, relics, as well as some more artist creative artifacts.
Oh, I love that you're doing that. That's fabulous. Yes. G. Von Knight, the CEO of BVO, and that rhymes. And you're just going to hear so much about it, and it's really, here's another jewel in the crown of Memphis. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Art Scene. We are at BVO, Baron Von Opperbean, River of Time. It's in the Old Mud Island Museum. We'll just keep saying that because it's all tied together. And Christopher Reyes is with us. Christopher is the designer. He's a brain behind it. We were talking with G. Von Knight, who's the CEO of BVO, and she was saying nice things about you, and I didn't understand why, but explain. But before this opened, y'all had a pop-up, right?
Right, 2020.
Why?
Yeah. I was trying to convince people that Memphis needed immersive experiences, and no one's doing it. No one's still doing it. So,
did anyone even understand? I mean, all I can think of is this Star Trek room there where they would go in there and pretend they were someplace else, and that's the way that in my brain, that's how I understand it.
Right.
But when you were talking to people about it, were they like, that's just Star Trek or that's just sci-fi?
yeah, a lot of people just can't imagine. You could spell it out for them, but they just can't picture it in their head, because they haven't had an experience like that. They haven't gone to any immersive experiences, and
well, it doesn't make sense.
yeah, it doesn't make sense because you're talking about jumping through portals and worlds, and and I mean, like, all immersive experiences are different. Some are story driven, some are gallery, art driven. So there's like immersive galleries, immersive hotels, immersive stories. BVO, I really wanted to bring all those things together: immersive play, an immersive story, immersive
You didn't want to make a
gallery.
choice.
No, it was like there was a little bit of all those things, and I think that's what will make BVO stand out in the immersive industry.
How are y'all getting the word out across? I mean, it's going to be a hit in Memphis. Get out here. It's going to be a hit in Memphis because it's going to be in Memphis. It's going to be fabulous. But how are we getting the folks from other places to come? I understand they came for the pop-up.
Sure.
8 states.
I mean, there is a marketing strategy, but like when I did the first one, I pretty much had a little Instagram account that I was like posting a few things on, but really when I dropped the tickets, they sold out in 2 days. I mean, it's
Were you
social.
amazed?
Do what?
Were you amazed at that? Well, you may not, since you thought of it.
I kind of thought it's how it would go because no one in Memphis had ever seen anything like it. Took people to, transported them to another world, and so they were very willing to share it with their friends, and people were like saying, "This is in Memphis? What? Where is this?" And it was in a warehouse. It was at Yvonne Bobo's. The off the wall arts.
Right.
People just were hungry for that kind of thing.
I think that is a really good term to use for it. I think we are hungry for the next big thing. Actually, it's what's happening now. It's not even the future anymore. But when you were planning it and it looked like you might be able to pull it off, how did you decide how did you get the Mud Island Museum?
Oh, well, that's a long story.
Is that a long story?
That's kind of, I mean,
Arm twisting,
it's sort of,
bribery?
no, I mean, like, I think it really just kind of fell into place. I mean.
Did you have other places you were thinking of?
I looked at a lot of different places, and, I thought that I was actually going to do a bunch of different places, but, they just didn't work out. And I was after the Coliseum for a while, but
right.
like, really that would have been a massive project that I don't think anybody would have had the confidence in financially in that project, even if we were to have gotten it. But Mayor Young, Paul was at the DMC when I spoke to him, and he was like, "What do you think about Mud Island?" And I was like, "Mud Island's like seasonal. It's like." And I was thinking outdoors. I had forgotten about this museum.
Everybody had.
And
but still everybody was like, I wish they could do something with Mud Island.
Right.
And
yeah.
we knew we couldn't.
Yeah. So I was like, I said no immediately because he did say that, there's
So
a
you're not that
museum,
smart.
and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I remember coming here when I was a kid, and I was like, it's a kind of a dark museum, and there's like low ceilings and stuff. And I was really looking for that epic, high ceiling, grand scale sort of thing. And so I kind of just like, stopped thinking about it. but a few months later, Carol Coletta asked me to come look at it, and I was like, okay, I'll come look at it. And I walked in here, and the place was already immersive. So having that kind of immersive, knowing what I was looking for and what I needed for an immersive experience, this place just like screamed like, this is it, right? And I was like, oh, okay, right, I'm dumb, right? I should have like.
Well, yay, Mayor Young and Carol Coletta and you, but when you walked in here, and because being an immersive experience, you could make it into anything you wanted, but there were already some major elements here that you decided to work with rather than around.
Yeah, and I mean, the museum spoke to me, as far as like, as soon as I walked into it, and by the end of the, week, I had like a story, or it was the weekend actually, I had a story of how it would work. And, Carol said to me, can you make it sort of about the river? And I was like, in my previous one that I did in 2020, I had all these like river looking illustrations that were the wormholes that traveled you from one place to another in the multiverse. And I was like, yeah, I can, because I already have this like river theme, but I wasn't calling it a river, it was a wormhole, right? And then it didn't take me very much time to like just take the story and write it around, okay, well, there's the spiral. The spiral is the entire multiverse. It branches off. There's tributaries. It's a river that you can travel, and we easily made it that just fit all together. And it was just sort of serendipitous. I mean,
I bet you couldn't sleep.
I was like, man, this is coming together like too easy, as far as the story and that sort of thing. But I really went back to all the world building, all the writing, all the storytelling, and worked the two things together. And now it's a better story. It really solved a lot of things that issues I was having with like the multiverse in my original story. But once I started thinking about it was a river that took you through parallel universes, it was just like, oh, I got this now.
and the Mississippi River is such a river of time.
Yeah, exactly. There's a song called River of Time. They don't say Mississippi River, but it's like this whole remembering things in the past. And I was just
Which we are so, this is so uniquely Memphis.
Yeah.
I mean, other places might have immersive experiences and multiverses, but nothing like this.
Well, I'm not going to give away too much here, but this project's about Memphis. That's all I'm going to say. You'll figure it out.
I love that. I love that. I love that. G was talking about there's different ways that you can go with different experiences you can have when you come here, and she was talking about art. Tell me about the art aspect.
Well,
because I love art.
Like who doesn't? Well, some people don't like art, but I love art. I
love any piece of trash hanging on the wall. There it is.
Yeah. I have a tendency to call us, like not artists but creatives, because to me the term creative.
It's true. Out of their brains, through their hands, into into reality.
In a project like this, you have storytelling. You have film and video, you have interactive digital computers that you're building and making, you have gamification, you have construction of like sculptures and fabrication of crazy things. And if you look behind you, we got our world that's moving back there, that's all Unreal Engine. There's so many moving parts to what we're doing to bring this together. You will be stepping into another world, and so it takes a lot of different creative types in order to do that. And you wouldn't necessarily call someone who tinkers with a lot of little electronics an artist, but
see, I would, because this is art scene and everybody's an artist on here.
So, but that's where it's coming from. We've put together a really amazing team of folks that are like-minded, and really, I think we're pushing the boundaries of what.
I think you got very lucky in the people who came together are all headed in the same direction and somebody's not trying to veer you off. Are you going to have anything that tells like the background of making this? Because I know every time I've been here, I've been just amazed at the junk that you pick up and make into something. I think it's amazing.
Awesome,
I think there a lot of people would find the science in that fascinating.
So, I mean, for me, I like, I didn't start off doing this and saying I'm going to always use reclaimed materials. But when I did the first one in 2020, I did use reclaimed materials out of necessity, right? And so
what you had.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, this is what I could get. The community could donate their junk to me and I could like build something. There was such a great reaction that, people would be like, this looks really amazing, but I walked up to this and I realized this was a paint can.
Yeah.
And they were like, this is so awesome. And
I've done that a bunch here.
Yeah, so I got a lot of those kinds of responses, which said to me, I think that makes it more interesting, more authentic. And it's not like you're not buying, some
piece of plastic.
Yeah, and you're not also designing it and saying, here, fabricate this. It's more of like a loose conceptual design that this is what I want, something like this. And then you get all this junk and you're like, well, this part, right, this part and this part, and you puzzle it all together. And I think it's kind of parallel in our universe of what we're doing here. It's just the universe is telling us how to put this whole project together, right?
I think it is your universe. BVO, anything you want is BVO, and it's made out of anything at hand. And I just think it's really and the fact that you have financing for it and it's going to open. I need to go online and pick your time and your tickets, and even if you don't understand anything at all about what I'm talking about, because I barely do, I'm like not that brilliant, you need to come and find it out, because you're going to come back and it's in Memphis.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, they're going to have to come back to find out all the little details. They'll come once and go, whoa, this is kind of overwhelming. But
yeah, and then look at something else the next time you come.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating. How often are you going to run through it? Every day?
Every day.
Yeah, every day?
Like
how
after
often are you going to when it's open?
Oh, well, like once it's open, that's phase one, right? So
Christopher is still be around after it opens, and there is still more to come, and we will tell you about it here on Art Scene.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
BVO, it's in your town. Get out and enjoy it.
Watching the Library Channel, a broadcast service of the Memphis Public Libraries and the City of Memphis.